let's throw ourselves right into the fire immediately.
I work hard. I work too hard, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
I know your story, or I don't think they do.
yeah.
We'll still check on that for you.
Hi, I'm Tim Somerville.
And I'm Michael Dempsey. Thank you for joining us with Off the Market with Team Somerville.
Okay, so let's throw ourselves right into the fire immediately.
Whoosh.
Michael.
Yes.
Yeah, we are proud realtors, and I want to know why. Why real estate? Why are you a realtor?
That's a great question.
Okay.
It's funny, you look back and the job titles and positions I've held were always about customer service or customer, client care.
Mhm.
Whether it be, as a young individual, a lot of us have started working on the till, the registers, serving. I was a coffee slinger back in the day.
Okay.
I don't even call them coffee slingers.
Same here.
And then I joined the Army, where I was a paramedic by trade.
Okay.
Helping others again.
Okay.
And then I went into kind of the corporate world, less customer service related, more money.
Yes, more
And,
on the bottom line.
And then I actually had a colleague there that brought up the topic of real estate, something that never came across my mind. And it burned a hole in my head just thinking about the prospects of, you know how most people get lured into, like, set your hours, commission based, all that good stuff. And it's like any commission style career, you kind of put the work in, you got to work hard, you got to be available, you got to help, and that's just kind of my thing. I would say, when you go to a job interview, and when they ask you, what are your weaknesses? My biggest weakness is I work hard. I work too hard, actually, and there's been lots. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Well, so I say on paper, but you gotta, like I said, you gotta put the work in. Again, going back to your question, it's something that drew me in. Okay, prospects. So I've helped a lot of single mothers buy their home after a divorce, or we're proud supporters of the Royal LePage Shelter Foundation, helping women and children escape domestic violence. Having several members on our team be a victim or know a victim. I tell you, I've sold a lot of homes to these women, and it's just such a good feeling to know that, one, they're safe, they have a place to call their own. He's long gone. And again, this isn't a dump on men session, but those are the transactions that make me feel really, really good about.
Well, you do know,
Yeah.
but every real estate transaction that Team Somerville is involved with, so whether or not you're a buyer or a seller, a portion of our commission actually goes to our local shelter foundation. Our shelter company, our real estate company, when it comes to, again, providing assistance to, of course, help women and children, remove themselves from any domestic violence. Every dollar, every penny that is raised goes directly to our cause. Now, the corporate side of Royal LePage actually pays for the admin and so forth to be able to do a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. So I'm glad that you're a realtor for those reasons, that it was deep inside. I'll ask, do you not find, though, that as a realtor, every day is different?
I was going to say, every transaction is different. Every transaction is going to make you feel in a different way. I guess I just wanted to highlight that there are these special transactions that help remind you of why you do this and why you want to get involved.
Yeah.
We have lots of standard transactions. But like I said, some of those ones that really hit home, really hit the heart, reminds you that I'm making a difference. I know this sounds a little cliche, but
It's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
Well,
I know your story. I don't think they do.
Yeah, and I can get into that, but what I will say is that knowing that each day is different means that, again, when I get up in the morning and I put my shoes on, I really do have a sense and urgency of course, hopefully helping and assisting clients. Do more than just buying and selling homes. What I am hoping is that what I am doing is I am making a difference in people's lives. And so I honestly believe, there are many things that real estate can do for not just one person or a family and so forth. But what I know is that we work very hard for our clients, and we try to make a difference on of course, you know, where they call home. So saying that though about, all the differences and everything else, it's like movies,
Mhm.
right? We've said beforehand, my
Yeah,
my passions are music, movies, and sports.
absolutely.
But a lot of times when I look at real estate, knowing that every day is different, it's like if I was to ask 100 people, or you were to ask 100 people, top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah.
There's going to be similarities. So when we deal with our clients, there will be similar needs. I want you to sell my home for the highest price possible. I want you to help me buy a home for the lowest price possible. And in the back of everybody's mind when they're buying or selling, that is probably part of what everybody would love. But there are a lot of differences from one person to another or one family to another. Just like movies, where if I asked you
Mhm.
your top 5 movies, they'd be probably a little bit different than me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wrote a couple down. I mean, and again, they may not match yours, but you look at Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, mine's there top.
You look at Schindler's List.
Yeah, probably
It's
top
a
5.
very, very crazy
Oh my
old
God, yeah.
story. For fun, Pulp Fiction.
Okay, great movie.
I think it's up there.
Top 25, top 50 for me. Fantastic movie. Go on.
What about
What about The Godfather? If you were to ask my wife, yes, definitely on her top 5. So yes. Yeah, okay.
well?
Make a deal I can refuse.
I would say, not mine.
Just a second.
Okay,
Stick to real estate.
yes, sir. I will do. Yeah. I would say on a lot of people's lists, you're going to see the big names like Titanic.
Yeah.
Now, not our top 5,
Yeah.
but still a very good
Oh, yeah.
masterpiece from James Cameron.
Yeah, well, Canadian.
Yeah.
But do you remember I was saying about Titanic is I was waiting on tables at the time. And that theater that had Titanic in the uptown area of St. John
King's
had lineup after lineup after lineup. I have yet to see another movie ever in my lifetime have the lineups to go and see a movie. And again, the attention to detail, and so forth. And I like when you have a movie like that, which is based on a true story, so nonfiction, but a story within a story. There are a lot of movies like that that are not fully historically correct, but are great stories.
Absolutely.
And so again, I really like when they mix, with what we know with hopefully a flair of Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's something. Yeah. It tells you the smaller stories are happening within the bigger story.
Okay.
At, yeah, I mean, James Cameron's gone on to make many
Terminator
movies. Of course, Terminator, of course. You look at, I mean, the Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar
Series. There's like as what's that actress name? Zoe. I can never say her name, but anyway, she probably the richest actress right now because of the as of Avatar. Yeah. But even like you said, Avatar. Do you remember people lining up? I mean, I'm sure they got lots of attention.
Yeah.
But for you to be serving and to be looking out the window and seeing these people lined up waiting to get in.
Yeah. So with that, we both have kids.
Yeah.
How about a children's movie?
For me, I would say like I got to watch a lot of movies with her, but my favorite would have to be Toy Story 3. And I say that because you have the first two, generating the storyline, but then you come to what you think is at the time going to be the conclusion of the story. And the way that it's animated, the music, it can make a grown man cry during that one scene. And if you've seen it, it's very powerful. And I mean, how can a cartoon, and I don't want to say cartoon to degrade how wonderful this film is, but how can it make you feel like that?
Yeah.
And I think that's it really got to me.
Well, I recall watching Lion King for the first time. And Mufasa dying really early in it reminded me actually of another earlier Disney movie, which was Bambi. I'm just saying, like, I mean,
It starts out.
Mom's gone. It's like, holy cow,
Yeah.
and so at the end of the day, for a child's movie to have these types of, events occur in the movie is pretty crazy.
Yeah. So then you got to explain to your young one what dough season is. And yep.
No, that's what you do. It's all right. That's right. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, well, keep going though.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say to be able to tell a story like that and hit you with that gut punch and hit you right in the feels, so they say.
Well, You know, where we are realtors, we should talk about real estate though. So let
I suppose.
Yes, I know. So, what I'd like to do is ask you, to help me with the Coles Notes versions
Mhm.
of investing.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well,
Keep in mind that real estate right now, when you do look at investments, I know that most markets people invest when the market is high. The best time sometimes is when there's a little bit of uncertainty in that market. Maybe when it is down a bit. So keep in mind that what we want to do is tell you a little bit about investing because right now we're finding that they're not flying off the shelves. And it doesn't mean that it's not a good time to invest. It just may be that you could actually capitalize when there's not as many considering investing.
absolutely. There's a lot of scenarios that we could go into, but I'm just going to simplify the process. So, even if you've never invested a day in your life, one option is you can take equity out of your current home and use that to buy an investment property. Maybe it's a duplex or a triplex. You know, we're probably going to poke them in the direction of a triplex.
Yeah.
They're-
Or four.
or four because there's a little bit more value. And again, we can get into that at a later time.
Yes.
But that is an option unless you've got, you've done well and you got some cash rolled away. Call us. Um,
Immediately.
immediately 506 no.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that option. You don't have to be that big time investor. Some of the things I like to show some investors would be if you had possibly one unit that's vacant. Okay, we do have in New Brunswick a rental cap right now that's in place to help the tenants so that they're not seeing these crazy rent increases. However, some buildings may be a little lower than market. So having that empty unit will allow you to put in someone and uh, rent it out at a more fair market value. That's one way. Another way would be, again, we don't go into the duplexes a whole lot, but if you're looking for your first home, and if you bought, a side-by-side townhouse style, you live in one side, your rental property is paying your mortgage. And don't get me wrong, you're going to have a couple expenses. You got your property taxes and this and that, but it's going to cover the majority of your mortgage. If you're okay with having a nice fire-rated firewall right down the middle and, hopefully noise proof, why not? I know when you get a duplex, you're living in the bottom, they're living up top. You might have some heavy lead feet and things like that, and that deters people. But there's just so many options. Whether you're starting out fresh, you're buying your first home, and you're looking at the other part as an investment, all the way up to Mr. Moneybags, who's looking at 12 units. We can help you with all that, I guess. I can point out. So
What's important to note, though, is when you look at our market and the investments that we have, yes, we can't go back and say, "Oh my goodness, this person paid 40,000 for this or 60,000 for this." The values are out there. Average right now per door,
it's roughly 100,000.
yeah, roughly 100,000. So depending on what you're buying, it could be substantially more, substantially less. But if you are buying less than 100, chances are it's going to need some work. But there are different levels of investing. And what's important to know is that we as realtors believe everything is cyclical. So at times the market's going to be strong, at times it's not, and then of course we want it to come around. So you hinted on numbers. 3 and 4 unit buildings, properties, investment properties are great because you can still classify them as residential mortgages. What we noticed when our market went through the roof a few years ago was that the two families that would sit, because they truly were not solid investment properties, all of a sudden they were flying off the shelf as well, based on inventory, based on condition, based on risk. It allowed people to still get in at specific prices because if we're at 100,000 per door, then you're buying a two family, it's 200 grand. But if you're buying a 4 unit, well, it's 400.
4 grand.
But what we do find, and I don't know if you see this, but sometimes those 2 units may be more per door. So you're not getting them at 100. Because once the market just exploded and the two families were becoming as popular as the others, what we saw is that the price per door was even higher than your 3 and 4 units. But what Michael and I really want you to understand today is that it is scary to know what to invest in. And sometimes you want a tangible asset, something you can see, touch, feel, and work on, or do you know what I mean? At least have a better understanding because real estate, when done right, is done well. And so we want to make sure that if you're considering investing, that it's done right, it's done well, and of course, there are three rules in my eyes, and always has been. I'll tell investors this. Number one, buildings that we sell you has to make money. If not, why are we looking at it? Number two, and I don't know if you remember these, but number two is there has to be something about the building. So it could be location, could be size, could be price, could be condition. These are all very important.
Rental income.
Yeah, yeah, But number three, and this is an odd one. Remember, you're not living there. We set ourselves for a standard a lot of times that with our investment buildings may not meet our actual home. And that's just because, again, most people, most investors will not invest the same amount of time, money, and effort in their investment property as they would their own home. It's not that they don't put money back into it, but they may not put the same quality and they may not spend as much because the rent, of course, may not affect that increase. So, business wise and business sense, you have to look at what you're doing with an investment property and make sure that your updates and rentals are done in a manner that's not, of course, leaving you penniless and also hopefully will increase your rents accordingly.
Very well said. And a comment I heard yesterday from one of my clients was, I don't want to be a landlord. Well, that's the beauty of it. You don't technically have to be a hands-on landlord.
Yep.
You have property management companies that, for a small fee, will issue you notices. They'll collect your rent. While they collect the rent, they can remit their payment and send you the rest. If there is issues, maybe there's a pipe that went wrong, whatever, they're calling the property manager. The management's setting up to get it repaired. Don't worry, you'll get the bill for it, but it's being handled.
Okay.
So there's options.
Yeah.
Rather than being that guy knocking at the door so your rent's late.
I agree. So again, we'd love to go on about investment properties, and we'll talk about investment properties almost probably every other podcast because it's an important way of looking at real estate in our market because of the affordability compared to others. The great thing about investment properties is you can be anywhere and buy here and still make money. And so again, you don't have to be hands-on. I recommend some level of hands-on, but again, please understand that no matter where you are, this could be a possibility.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention, if you've read a lot of books on making your money work for you, what's the number one thing they always say is, how do I make money while I sleep?
Oh,
And that investing in real estate is an option. You're making money while you're sleeping.
okay. Good way.
Throwing it out there.
I
All the major books are going to tell you how do you make money while you sleep.
my mind was going in a whole different direction. Nobody wants to record me snoring or see if it's my mask.
Why do I know that?
Yeah, you're stupid good.
Hotel life.
Yes, yes. So let's turn the tables and talk about something else.
Yeah.
Realtors. Realtors, we deal with clients all the time, but the one thing about clients is the fact that, again, sometimes we actually do have clients that are, let's just say, not always as amicable or friendly, or, of course, let's just say there are times that we're actually cringing because of the fact that, again, we're put in situations that we probably don't feel as comfortable. Can you think of any time where maybe you were a little bit, on the heebie-jeebie side?
Heebie-jeebies, eh?
Yeah.
Well, my mind again was going in a different direction.
Okay.
And I was going to mention, when let's say we walk into a house and right off the bat they're asking questions about rooms that we haven't even been in.
That is.
And it's like, take a breath.
Yeah.
Let's just look at the house first.
That's right.
And it's just like, what kind of this, or this, or this?
Oh, yeah.
Let's just look at the house together.
Right.
And then we'll sit down and we'll have a nice chat.
Yeah. As a realtor, one of the things that we would recommend is try to hold your questions back until you're actually interested in that property.
But the number one cringe on my book, and I would have to say is, I have to say it in a funny voice, why are they selling? You forgot to file your paperwork, my Wazowski. No, we get that question a lot, is why are they selling? Why are they selling? How about, do you want to buy this? Yeah, that's the question. Yeah. Is this home right for you and your family?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
that's the biggest question.
And I understand that the buyer wants to know the level of motivation for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But because our market is still quite strong, if you are in multiple offers, It does not matter why they were buying, selling, or doing anything.
Yeah.
All that matters is what you're doing, is what you want to do. And we're there. We're there to support and help. It's just there are certain questions out there that, like, I'll give you another
Yeah.
one, and that is, oh, what's the heating cost? And it may sound crazy, but in my 26 years in real estate, I bet you I can count on one hand how many times the heating cost really matters for a couple reasons. The person that's heating the home may not be anything like you. They could have a family of 10 people doing 12 loads of laundry per day. They could like it at 25 degrees and you could like it at 16 degrees. There could have been updates. There are so many other things there could have been an issue with the heating system, which they've now corrected. So at the end of the day, making your decision on that is sometimes the worst you can do. Just like I said about oil heat. Well, oh my goodness, it has oil heat. Well, okay, convert it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's 200 amp service for less than 5 grand, you're converting a home that has oil to electric or to
Something very
natural gas,
efficient.
propane.
Yeah.
There are so many different ways of converting a home that, again, when we get into those costs, that's something I can understand. Hey, what would it cost you think to convert this? Who would you use? Here are companies that we've recommended in the past, and those are very important items, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing that stands out to me is if the heating costs or electric costs were sky high, then that would tell us maybe there's an insulation issue, a lot of heat being escaping. This time of year is a great time. If you go see a home and you see hundreds of icicles hanging from the gutter,
Yeah.
guess what? That means heat is escaping 100%. Love the oversize that. Oh, look at the beautiful icicles. No. There's no insulation in that attic.
Yeah.
Heat's getting out. Things are melting and freezing again. Problem
It just snowed, and this one has no snow on the roof.
on the roof.
Okay, guess what?
The roof's not heated, but it's got in-floor heating.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm
That
gonna
would
get.
be expensive.
Oh, listen, I'm
Look
coming.
at those wires.
Okay,
Yeah, I know.
Then please ask for the power bill.
Yeah.
I'll be right there with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway,
Yeah.
but
Just go look at the meter because it's doing donuts.
oh yes, 100%. My goodness. But what's funny is the fact that you have to understand that we as realtors, we're there to help answer the questions. But I have literally seen people come in with the same questionnaire for every home. There's 35 to 50 questions, and my concern is, I always call it a 90-10 rule. When you walk into a home with me, I want you to be 90% emotionally involved in that home. I want you to want the home. And then I want you to have 10% practicality. What about this? What about this? What about that? Because if I know you're doing that, I am the opposite of you. I'm there to represent you. So then I would like to be your 90% practical and 10% emotional. Because if I'm too emotionally tied into a property that I believe you're going to buy and you decide against it, all of a sudden, I almost feel like I haven't done my job.
Yeah.
Because I emotionally believe you should be buying this. It's where you told me you wanted to be. It has the bedrooms. It's newer. It's this, it's this, it's this. What do you mean this isn't for you? So at the end of the day, we as realtors, especially on our team, we will try to make sure that we are practically looking at the home on your behalf. But we really want you to come in and fall in love with that home. And there's a rule.
Yeah.
I always say within 15 seconds of coming into your home, you should probably know that you want this home. Do you agree?
That's a good rule.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's other analogies out there that say when you walk in, and if you love 90% of the home and there's 10% that needs to be changed, that's a great home.
Oh, 100%.
Don't focus on that 10%. Oh, it's got blah 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 faucets.
Oh, I agree.
Get a faucet off Amazon. Who cares? We could try a lot too. Like, oh,
Fall in love
hate
with
the
the
paint color.
And if you don't fall in love with the home, let us find you another one. Okay. We're in it for the long haul. But this will come right into my next segue. And that is that, to me, what we need to sometimes remember is that there's the positivity, negativity, and reality. Now, I was watching somebody online earlier, and they were negative about everything in our market and this, and this. And it rolled right into all the comments he was getting as well. And some people may say, oh, he's telling the truth and it's this, it's that. If you can't find optimism in today's real estate market, I still think you're missing the boat because, especially in our area, price, list price to sale price is phenomenal.
Very good.
Inventory is a little tight, but there are homes that do come up. Again, you have to be prepared though. So the reality of our market, the reality of what's going on is that there still is a lot of good and a lot of great things. And we as realtors, we want to make sure that again, we do try to show you that. Now, that doesn't mean we will not point out the negative items. I always say that when we walk into a home, I have to act as your inspector. Now, all I mean by that is Michael and I may point out different things about the home that you may or may not have seen. So we will always have an open conversation with you about the good and the bad of the home. But the realistic part, the reality of it is that if you truly are ready to buy and we show you a home that is within your price range and it checks off enough boxes, and within those 15 seconds you're thinking you're going to want to buy and live in that home, then do it.
Jump on it.
Jump, right? With the rates where they are, the market where it is, it's still a great time. You agree?
I agree.
Okay.
It's hard to find, like you said, when you find that one that it's most of your check boxes. I mean, what are we doing? Let's go. Let's
That's right.
let's pull the trigger, as they say.
Well, because if not, we can promise you somebody else is.
Yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of negativity in the world, and if you go into a showing with nothing but negativity, that's all that's going to stand out.
I agree.
And like Tim said, we are there. We're going to point out things, good or bad. That's our job. We're not Vanna White. Nothing against Vanna White, but I've dealt with realtors that are like, hmm? And I've caught myself when I first got into the business. I was doing this is the kitchen. No, duh. They have eyes, right? So, yeah, we're gonna mention. Look at the extra deep farm sink.
Well,
Great.
and kitchens will open up the doors. Are they self-closing hinges? What do they look like? We'll open a fridge. Why not? Chances are we're going to ask to include that fridge. Now, there are certain things we will not open.
Yes.
But if you're going to be asking for something, we'll want to make sure that it's operating and working and that, hey, guess what? It's clean and ready to go.
We've even opened fridges in vacant homes that weren't plugged in.
Oh,
We'll still check on that for you.
I said about cringing.
Good thing I didn't eat lunch.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, no, I think we should probably wrap up this podcast.
Absolutely. I think we covered all our bases today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Again, I'm Michael Dempsey.
And I'm Tim Somerville, and you're watching and listening to Off the Market with Team Somerville.